Welcome to LAX Trax. All across, all the time. Your source for California lacrosse. All right, welcome everyone to LAX Trax, all across, all the time, your voice for California lacrosse. And good evening, Jimmy. Good to see you.
What's going on?
Been a few days since I've seen you, and good to be
Yeah,
back
it's
with you,
summer.
my friend.
Been surfing.
Summer surfing, being at the beach, and
Yeah.
you haven't picked up your lacrosse stick lately, I don't think, have you?
Dude, you know what's so funny about that? I used to throw the ball around all the time. I'm sure I suck right now. I'd look like I have two left hands.
Well, you probably do suck, so that's
I sucked
okay.
really bad before. I probably really suck now.
Okay, well, that's fine. But yeah, anyways, well, good to have you here, and good to have folks here. I'll tell you, we have an amazing show tonight, Jimmy. This is we are very, very fortunate to have two very, I'll even go with the word legends in lacrosse.
They're legends.
And you know, in our mind, they're legends. They're also newlyweds. Congratulations to the newlyweds. But we have some legends on the show tonight who are going to tell us some really great stories about their life and their journey of lacrosse. And
I think they're the first legendary couple.
They might. They certainly are the first couple we've had on the show. So that's kind of fun. Anyways, again, I'm Tom Bowman. This is Jimmy Bull, and this is LAX Trax. So once again, we're fortunate to have tonight a husband and wife team, Mr. Adam Dahms and Trenna Hill. Great to have you guys with us tonight. Thanks for being on the show.
Hi, guys. Thanks.
Hey, all right. Well, good. So I want to start a little bit about, well, both of you guys, but, you know, either of you can jump in first. But I want to talk a little bit about your growing up, your childhood. I know, Trenna, you're from upstate New York, and Adam, you're from Virginia, Northern Virginia. But tell us a little bit about, you know, your youth days and what that was like, and what it was, what really got you inspired with lacrosse.
Yeah, so for me, I guess the origin story starts with when I first picked up a stick. I went to my sister's soccer game and was very bored with what I was watching on the field.
Nice.
And I saw this kid messing around with a stick and a ball in the corner. He was an older kid. I walked over there, kind of chatted him up a little bit, and basically had the goal of getting that stick in my hands, right? And he finally let me mess around with it a little bit and showed me all the different things he could do with it and try to teach me a couple things. And I went back home to my mom and I was like, Mom, we got to get a lacrosse stick. I have to have one. And when I said that, my mom immediately, to her credit, was like, all right, let's do it. We'll go tomorrow. So I still remember we went to Champ Sports at the mall, which I'm pretty sure doesn't carry lacrosse sticks anymore. But it was a Brine M1.
Oh, Champ's around?
And yeah, Champ's still around, but they don't sell lacrosse sticks anymore. But yeah, it was a Brine M1. I remember it had a blue shaft and it had traditional. And
nice.
That stick just became my best friend. I was always using it, always had it in my hands, constantly playing wall ball, constantly in the backyard shooting. There's actually, before I actually had my first lacrosse net, you know those like fire grates that sit in front of a fireplace?
Oh yeah.
That was my goal. Like that's how I how I honed my shot when I was a little kid.
Did you put some dents into the thing?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Some dents there, some dents behind it, all over the place.
Nice.
And then basically from there, I hopped into youth league with my buddies. I think that was the summer after 4th grade. And my first year out, I was on the C team. I remember the first game I ever played in. I remember getting whacked and getting hit, crying on the field, and like running around and just getting beat up. And just like, what the hell did I sign up for right now? And then, you know, at the end of the day, what I had realized, I was really undersized for my age. And what I realized pretty quickly was that if I could learn how to handle this stick, which is ultimately the great equalizer in our sport, I could have success. And it was the only sport when I was a kid that I like truly felt I could be the best at. And so that's really what drew me to the game. And that's kind of the history of lacrosse for me growing up.
Okay. Very cool. Do you still have that stick?
Oh man, I regret to inform you that I do not. I actually, it's kind of cool in a way though, because I did pass it on to my neighbor, and hopefully my neighbor still has it. He went on to play some lacrosse through high school, so the stick lives hopefully. But yeah, that's definitely, if there's one thing I would recommend to lacrosse players, just to hold on to your first stick, because that's really special.
I agree 100%.
And you're such a gearhead because you remember the actual head and model shaft.
Yeah,
that's amazing. That's amazing.
He's a total gearhead.
Okay, I've been learning a lot more about this guy. Now that's good. Okay, Trenna, how about you?
Well, I mean, very, very different from Adam.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, very different. I love Adam's story because he found it kind of on his own, or like it found him a little bit. Like I do, it's very romantic, a very meet cute.
Love it.
And how he was able to pick it up. But my family is from Onondaga Nation in upstate New York, and so I grew up very much knowing what lacrosse is, very much the fabric of our community. And I had older brothers, I had older cousins and uncles, and everyone that played. My dad played, my papa played, all my everyone in my family played. We're a very lacrosse centered community, so I grew up going to all of those games, and I watched really for the whole time before I didn't really start playing myself until about third grade. But women in Indigenous culture are not allowed to play lacrosse. And so there was some controversy about me even getting a start and kind of getting, kind of breaking into that space. There was no other Native girls to play lacrosse with. And I got some angry calls home to my grandmother's house if I was playing in the yard, or if I was kind of like fooling around with a stick and in different spaces. And that was a big no. But I don't know. I kind of, that's, a little bit of my personality. I kind of just
persevered.
Kind of kept going. And so I played in, so my mom is non-native. And so she lived off the reservation. And so in her neighborhood, they had some youth girls lacrosse kind of starting. And I was in third grade. And that's kind of where I met, saw some friends from school and saw some different familiar faces. And so that's kind of how I got started in my town. It was called Bowl League at the time. I don't know what it's called anymore. Wow. But yeah, I mean, my stick was, I don't know the name of it, but it was yellow.
It's a great color.
Yeah, it was yellow, and it had,
If I saw it, I could tell her.
Yeah, that's the Brime XY.
And I also do still have it. It's at my parents' house.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I have all of our sticks.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so
nice.
there was, I mean, I'm a female playing a sport I'm not supposed to, so there was really no one to give it away to, so I just have it all.
So you started with a girl's stick. A lot of girls start with guy's stick, but you started with a traditional girl's stick.
No. Sorry, I did start with a boy's stick, which is my brother's stick. It wasn't my own. I just kind of was like figuring it out and kind of playing around with it. But I mean, the girls' game really did appeal to me. I think because it was something of my own. It was not something that was forbidden to me. It was not something that was off limits or something. It kind of felt different enough that it could kind of be my own. And so I wanted all the girls' stuff. I wanted all, only girl sticks, only girls cleats, like the girl branding. I was totally a sucker for anything that was geared and branded towards girls. I was like, yeah, I'm that.
Oh, cool. Very cool.
Yeah, it's your identity too.
So when you were playing in this Bull League, what ages were that? And were there actual other teams and enough people to play?
Yeah, there were a lot. We had a lot of teams in that league in upstate. There was, oh my God, I don't know now. Yeah. I don't know if I can recall that, how many teams there were now, but there was a full league, and like a championship, and like there was, you know, trophies to win, and it was pretty well organized. I mean, for what it was. I think one of my best friend's dad was our coach, and we could I could probably ride my bike to practice, and that was cool. And you know, it was at a school that I was eventually gonna go to. And there was a lot. I mean, there were a lot of kids. Like our camps were big. There were a lot of girls there, a lot of good athletes, a lot of good people from my area that went on to play lacrosse in college. And it was a fun time. It was a fun generation to kind of be a part of. I think women's lacrosse was kind of just starting in that way.
Yeah.
And it was a cool era.
That's cool. No, that's cool. So then you transitioned on to high school from there. So were there organized state championships and all that kind of stuff in high school, or?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes. We live in, like, you know, West Genesee country. So like they were, you know, always the kings and queens of that.
Oh yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
So you had at your mom's house, you had this whole world of all these activities and leagues and all that stuff. And then when you had to go to the res, or, you know, visit family, you kind of had to keep it under kind of wraps, or just
there was really, and then
what
was really awkward was when in high school I actually moved to live with my dad on the res. And so then,
wow,
you know, I went to Lafayette. I graduated from Lafayette High School, but they didn't have a girls team because they're, you know, half the school population is Native kids. And so the girls aren't going to play that. They played softball and they played volleyball. And so then I had to go, then I went to a different school. I attended Lafayette, but then I had to go play lacrosse for this inner city school called Corcoran High School on the south side of Syracuse. And that's where I actually played. So I kind of went to three high schools. And I grew up in my mom's district and kind of going through that school district system. And then I moved for high school, but I played volleyball for them, but I played lacrosse for a different high school.
Wow.
That's like you opened a whole world.
I know.
You know, unheard of. Good for you. Good for pushing.
That's super cool. That's amazing.
It was all that. Kind of, I mean, you know, always like during it, you're like, oh yeah, I'm just going to drive to all these places to go and play. And then now looking back on it, and now that I am a high school coach, I'm like, who would do that? Like, why? Who would do that?
Passion. You have the
passion. I love it.
Gotta have the passion.
Adam, how about your high school experience?
Yeah, so my high school experience was a little bit different. Went to public school at a school called Westfield High School in Chantilly, Virginia. Was a part of some really good teams there. We actually went to the state championship my senior year. You've probably heard of Robinson High School. They beat us in district, region, and state championships my senior year. So that was brutal. Oh my gosh. High school for me was a weird time. I'm someone who doesn't do the best with transition. And like I mentioned at the beginning, I was really undersized for my age. So going into high school, the first day of freshman year, I was something like 5'2", 130 pounds.
Wow.
So I was tiny, and I was like a little jitterbug ex-attackman who would make 15 moves to get by a guy. And that like smallness, I guess, was a big part of my underclass years. Like I grew every year, but I wasn't necessarily growing in major ways. So I think my sophomore year, I was like 5'6", 145, 150. And then junior year, I was like 5'10". And then senior year, I was 5'11". And so like it was a very slow start for me. Coaches, didn't really want to put me on varsity because I was undersized. They were quite frankly worried about me getting hurt, just like my mother was. But my game really evolved when I met Coach Kevin Quinn, who's a legend in the Northern Virginia community. And when I started to get a little bit bigger and they moved me up to varsity, I was doing the same old stuff. I was making 15 dodges to get by my guy. And Coach Quinn was like, dude, you're big now. Like, make one move and go.
Yeah.
And that
Good more
changed,
jitterbugging.
yeah, that changed my career completely because I became such a good north-south dodger with his tutelage and really learned how to beat people off the dribble, which is obviously so critical in our sport. Um, and yeah, I had a very strict coach in high school, which is something I feel I should mention. He was very old school. He was on the last Cornell national championship
Wow.
team. So that was eons ago. So you can imagine he was like 70 coaching a bunch of 18-year-olds.
Wow.
And it was so strict.
Takes a lot of guts to do that.
Yes.
It was
70 years old.
It was so strict that he wouldn't allow people to shoot the ball underhand. There were two people allowed to shoot the ball underhand on our team. It was me and my buddy Sean, who went on to win a national championship at Loyola. And so it was just funny how strict it was. And, you know, running 8 laps for a warm up followed by suicides. And, you know, that experience really taught me dedication and like taught me how to work hard, because I think at the end of the day, everyone sees, you know, the flashy plays and you playing on TV or playing in front of your town. But they don't see those lonely hours, I call them. And that's what really makes the difference for a player. And I always felt that I was better at the lonely hours than my peers. I traded everything in high school for lacrosse. I was not going out to parties. I was not necessarily going to the movies with my friends. I was in the backyard and I was shooting and playing wall ball. And like, truthfully, I wouldn't change it at all because that got me to where I wanted to go. But that's how I learned to work hard, was really in my backyard and in my high school years. And I'm going on a tangent a little bit here right now, but
this is great.
Keep going.
the
My
one
friend's
thing,
stories. We love it.
they talk all the time, you know, when you watch like these college lacrosse games, and like Kark is famous for talking about the creativity of the sport and learning the stuff in the backyard. And you know what really drew me to the game and what is my favorite part of the game today is just the creativity. It's just the fact that no two plays are alike, no two players are alike. And like, if you can think of it, pretty much you can do anything with a stick and a ball. So that's like what I really love about the sport at the end of the day.
You know, it's interesting you talk about all your time with the wall ball. There's a kid from our local high school who played for Denver, JJ Silstrup. You probably heard the name.
Oh yeah.
His dad is good friends of Jimmy and mine, and he would be on the wall, just like you said, all the time, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of balls. Probably the most creative player that I've ever seen or ever been around, at least from our high school. And then when he continued on to play at Denver. But yeah. I hear everything you're saying is so critical. And there is so much creativity that can be learned. And it's got to come from within, and it's got to come from your heart and your passion. So I really, really respect that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Adam, Coach Tommy, and I saw his passion and his, you know, hey, Adam, I did 300. He's like, go do 300 more. Not enough.
Not enough. Keep going.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. And so I'm a firm believer of that as well. Anyways, let's move on a little bit. Let's talk about both of your college experiences. And I'll start with Adam. You went to Stony Brook, right? Is that what I got?
I did. I went to Stony Brook. I actually went there by way of Essex Community College in Baltimore, though.
Okay. So we have a former coach at our high school here, La Costa Canyon, who was a Stony Brook guy. Maybe Jesse Foss. Do you ever get around that name or whatever?
Yeah, I've definitely heard that name, and I know he's a Stony Brook alum, but unfortunately, I've never gotten the chance to meet him.
Yeah, he's coaching at Concordia now, down in Orange County.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but he was our coach at LCC for quite a while. Really helped put us on the map, to be honest. He's an amazing player, but I think he was around 2002, 2003 at Stony Brook, somewhere in that neighborhood.
Gotcha.
So how did you get recruited there, Adam? Or sorry, Essex, and then keep going? from there?
Yeah. So, I mean, getting recruited to Essex is a funny story, actually. I'll start there. I had basically what my parents told me growing up when I decided to pursue lacrosse was that it's not football, it's not basketball. You're gonna have to have the grades if you want to go anywhere to play college lacrosse.
Yep.
I called that as a bluff.
Nice.
That was a huge mistake.
You rebel.
Because when the schools came calling and there was interest from, a number of programs when I was in high school, it was like, take one look at the transcripts, dude, no shot. Like, there's no way you can come play here. And obviously, that was heartbreaking and that was very difficult. And I didn't know really what my next move was.
What were
So,
some of the other schools, if you don't mind mentioning?
yeah. So, Fairfield was one of the big ones. I guess the biggest one, Fairfield, Army, and the biggest one for me was Navy. I was getting tremendous pressure from my family to go to Navy because my mom's side of that family is kind of a legacy at that institution.
Oh,
Nice.
So that was the big one for me. And basically what I decided to do at the end of the day is go to the only school that I got into out of high school, and that was a D3 school. I'll save the name, but basically I got there, and within 2 weeks, I knew every single person on campus, which is something I didn't want out of my college experience. And I was the hardest worker on the team, and everybody else was more worried about partying and extracurriculars. So I just knew it wasn't the place for me. I got extremely depressed. I had a really, really difficult semester there, and I decided to leave after the fall semester. Now, fast forward to the spring of that year, I took some classes at the local community college. I decided to go back and coach at my local high school that I just graduated from. And then I think the statute of limitations is up. I illegally played men's league with a bunch of guys for that entire spring, which really I credit to improving my game in a major way. If you guys know who Christian Cook is, the legendary Team USA defenseman, he was guarding me every single week
Wow.
and every weekend in games. And like, he came up to me and told me, he was like, you want to be great? Like, I'm going to guard you. I'm going to be all over you all the time. And, obviously he would tear me apart, but he would give me tips here and there to make me a better player. And that was huge for me. And then with the story with Essex was I was just warming up the goalies at the local high school one day. And this alumni, Dan Carmack, came back to school and he was watching us practice. And he came over to me while I was warming up and he was like, man, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing here? And I was like, what do you mean? Like, I don't have the grades to go anywhere else. I'm just kind of trying to figure it out. And Dan was like, have you ever thought about Essex? And I'm like, what the hell is Essex? Like, what is junior college?
Yeah.
I've never heard of this. Like, I'm above this. What is this? And he started talking to me and he was like, yeah, I went to this junior college Essex and we went undefeated in 2004 and we won the national championship. And I have some of the best friends I've ever had in my life from that school. And Coach Dunks is the man. You'll love him. And so I think that next week I drove up and had a meeting with Coach Duncan. He showed me around the facilities. He showed me campus. And he basically sat me down and asked me if it was something I wanted to do. And after spending time with him, I was like, absolutely. Like, I have to go here. This is a perfect fit for me. Like, I can get my general education credits out of the way and figure out what I want to major in while playing competitive lacrosse at the highest level and going back through the recruiting process. Like, sign me up. And so that was basically my story with going to Essex. And I mean, I credit Coach Burke and Coach Duncan for really making me the player and the man that I am in a lot of ways. They were both father figures to me. I still text with both of them constantly and stay in the loop on their lives. But while we were at Essex, we had a really, really solid team each year. My sophomore year, I was a first team All-American, led the country in goals, and we went to the national championship. Now, unfortunately, we lost in the national championship. So it was just like senior year of high school. But throughout that season, in junior college, you basically go through the recruiting process again while you're in your season. So it's super awkward because you obviously don't have much time for visits or anything. But I was getting recruited by schools like UMass, Providence, Siena, Mount St. Mary's, and some others. But Stony Brook came into the picture a little bit later into my sophomore year, and they were having the best season they've ever had in the history of their team, which obviously grabbed my attention because I wanted to play at the highest possible level. And I took a visit there and basically decided that that's where I wanted to pursue. That's where I wanted to go. And that's kind of how I wound up moving up to Long Island and playing at Stony Brook.
Nice.
That's
Nice.
awesome.
That's a great journey, shall we say. Yeah. All right, Trenna, you're up. Tell us about Syracuse.
Syracuse was kind of an obvious choice. For me, the campus is like 9 minutes like from my house.
Wow.
Driveway to driveway. It's very close. And I had like, cousins on the men's that played on the men's team. Brett Bucktooth is a cousin of mine. Marshall Abrams was a cousin of mine, or is a cousin of mine. And my Uncle Sid played there. My papa, Oliver Hill, played there. And so there was kind of, in a lot of ways, like a legacy of going there. There's a strong just relationship with the indigenous community of going there, long history of that. And so it was obvious in a lot of ways. But then, I was very kind of like Adam. I mean, Adam's parents weren't college athletes. And so I think, that definitely has come up when we've talked about that, just like kind of being misguided in ways. And
Sure.
Our parents, of course, are doing the best they can, no resentment or anything, but just kind of, my parents didn't go to college. I was the first generation college student. And then they're just the guidance of why you want to go to a place, I think, are some things that I kind of look back as having some gaps in that process. And so pardon?
What do you mean by gaps in that process?
Just gaps in terms of like kind of what Adam was experiencing too, like in his first semester at that first undisclosed school. Just the things that people are attached to and the things that people kind of rally around, the thing like the common, just the values and the vibe of the team. And
you don't really know what you really want at that
point. You don't really know. And it's you're a teenager when you're making these decisions and when you're in these situations. And so it's hard to know until after the fact, of course. But I think ironically, I stayed home. I stayed home for school, went to CUSE. I was heavily recruited out of high school. I was a top 10 recruit in the country. I was looking at Northwestern. I was looking at UMass and
Cornell.
That's right. Cornell, Florida. That's right. There was a bunch of options on the table, but I think I didn't really know how to actually consider another place because I was so close. I mean, it's
that makes sense.
The indigenous community is right there. That kind of meant a lot to me to have that identity close by. There's less than 1% of indigenous students in a college setting. I mean, the retention rate of our demographic is very low, and all of these things now. And so it was important to me. But I feel like I just wish that I would have known how to go through that process and how to make a more empowered decision back then. Ironically, because like Adam had gone to junior college and all of my best friends, also went to junior college. And I was kind of not the only one, but one of the only ones that went to, a private 4-year institution with the caliber of, Syracuse's lacrosse program. And
Sure.
I spent a lot of time at OCC across the hill, like there's 2 hills in Syracuse, and Syracuse is on one of them and OCC is on the other. And I spent a lot of time kind of going, kind of keeping that friend group pretty close. I think just because of how lacrosse is, just how lacrosse is treated, how your relationship with the sport was something that I think has only become important to me now after the fact. And just
what is OCC? What is the full...
OCC? Sorry, you guys are from California. It's Onondaga Community College.
Oh, sorry. Now,
Yeah.
and did they have
California kid?
Sorry.
Yes, they did. They had men's and women's programs. Yeah.
That's the one I lost to, Jimmy.
What's that?
That's the one I lost to, Jimmy, in the net.
Geez. So,
Yeah.
So did they have a decent women's team? Like,
oh yeah, oh yes, yeah, very storied, very long, both programs, men's and women's.
Sorry, everybody.
That's a very well-known school.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
very
well known.
Yeah, I grew up in Colorado, and I remember hearing it.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So yeah, very well known, men's and women's, and I get, it's an interesting story, Trenna, with you talk about the back and forth on one slope, on one hill, back and forth. And keeping a lot of your friends on one, but going to this really amazing school, Syracuse, and you had a lot of success at Syracuse, right? I mean, didn't you?
I had an awkward career.
Yeah.
It was I was getting recruited by a different coach, and then Gary Gate came, and he it was a big deal, right, when he got he was coming back and he was announced, and that was like right when I was kind of coming through the process, and you have a big oh shit moment. Like, yeah, it's exciting, but you're like, I was on track to go here. Like, is that going to be secure? Is that going to be valid? Like, what's going to happen? Yeah. And so it ended up working out in terms of that I went there, but the relationship was different. It was different. I had an awkward career. I didn't always know where I stood on things, and I didn't have, the ability to articulate how I was feeling, or how do I know how to address this, or like, I just, going to college in general for me, in so many other ways and beyond being an athlete, was just so foreign. There was no one to prep me. My parents didn't go to college. I was right. What is this place? and how do I navigate this world by myself? And so, but I mean, I did play. I mean, I had a good few years. I started a few times. I mean, it was just weird. Like, I would, start and play the Maryland game, sit the Northwestern game, start and play the whole Loyola game, sit for the Georgetown game, start and play in the Florida game, blah, blah, blah. And it was just like, I mean, whiplashing. I was like, my number could get called at any time, or I could be feeling that feeling the whole time and like never going.
So you never got in a rhythm.
Never got in a rhythm. Never could quite get in a rhythm. My confidence was like, also like that. I mean, I never really knew if I was doing something right or wrong, or where I stood, or like what was going through the coaches' minds of decision making and kind of things like that. So I didn't. It was awkward. I mean, it was cool, and then it was like kind of sour, and I was like, what is going on?
Yeah, but, that would be tough,
Yeah, it was hard. It was
not really know where your spot was. Some days a starter, some days a not. Just know where the coach's head was at.
Yeah, good for you for sticking it out and graduating and getting through everything. And
yeah,
I mean, that's what it's about. It's about going to school, but I mean, I'm sure that prepped you for a lot of things in life.
Yeah, it did. And then I actually, this is like kind of a crazy story, but I did transfer for like one semester. It was like a one-off. I like went like on spring break and I just kind of like went rogue and like transferred to this Division III school and like lived a whole other life. And then I was like, oh, this isn't real. Like, oh, I have to go back. Like, my parents can't afford this. I'm way too far from home. Like, what am I doing here? Like, none of my credits transferred. Nothing made sense about the decision. But again, I didn't have anyone to be like, hey, this isn't a good decision. Like, maybe let's
right
pull it back and like let's talk about like what is actually going to happen here in the long run. And so then I went there, had a great time. D3 lacrosse is so fun.
Really? Tell us a little bit.
It was so great. And like kind of those things that I was missing at Syracuse, like just the types of people, I think like I couldn't relate to a lot of my teammates in some ways. It was lonely in some ways. I'm like, man, we have different problems. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm from, I'm a blue collar community, blue collar family. And it was just hard to relate. And I mean, all my friends were going to community college. And then I kind of went to a Division III school, and that was great too. And I just felt like the people were, at least to me, like a little bit more like down to earth a little bit. And kind of like, I could just be a little, I don't know. I'm a little rough around the edges though. And
that's cool.
I'm a little rough around the edges. People.
Jimmy's rough around the edges, let me tell you.
Yeah. And
no, that's a cool story. No, I kind of get it. You know, it's funny. I went to a D3 school undergrad, and then I went to get my master's at a big school, and I get the whole different culture, very different. You know, very different. And you know, but it's a great learning experience either way, right? I mean, you no matter what you're doing, you're learning, and I think that's super cool.
What about, just real quick, Adam, what about you coming from Virginia to Long Island, which is, you know, Long Island people are passionate. You know, how is that?
Yeah. I mean, it was. Because
I know Stony Brook's got a lot of locals that go to school there, right?
Yeah. So Stony Brook is a massive commuter school. It's 99% kids from Long Island. My team had me from Virginia, one kid from Maryland, and two kids from Florida. The rest were all from Long Island. Yeah. So that was very interesting. And the brand of lacrosse up there is obviously very gritty, obviously, you know, hard-nosed, very fundamentally sound. So definitely learned a lot from that perspective of just like how to play the game the right way, which was obviously super important. I don't really think it fit my style in particular. Do you mind? Can I ask you if this is like this can be edited just so I can like gather my thoughts?
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Not a problem at all. Cool. Absolutely can edit.
100%. Yeah, I just want to think about how I want to talk about my experience at Stony Brook.
No. We can edit anything. In fact, mostly we cut out all of Jimmy's stuff.
Yeah.
Just to let you know.
Oh my God.
Welcome to my world.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Whatever you want to let us know, that sounds great. If you want a second,
while we're being edited, are you an announcer? Do you?
I do announce.
Yeah,
I announce high school football. I announce high school football. Thank you. And I announce high school lacrosse.
And he's the voice of Megatron.
And I actually am
not a joke.
My background is I actually worked in the toy business for Hasbro for a long time.
Oh my God.
And I actually launched the Transformer toy line for Hasbro as the marketing guy.
Way.
Well, I'm older, guys, but this was, you know, around 1990, around that time. And so I actually recorded the voice of Megatron and Optimus Prime of the Transformers. So to your point, I do a little bit of announcing, a little voice stuff. So thank you. That's so kind of you.
Yeah.
And now you're running podcasts out of garages.
And exactly. And I will say this.
You've made it.
What's that?
You've made it.
I made it. I'm in a garage. Incredible. And no less Jimmy Bull's
Not just
garage.
Any garage, though.
Oh my gosh, it's Jimmy Bull's garage.
That's right.
I'm in the most comfortable seat. You guys, too bad you're not sitting in this chair because it's amazing.
Yeah.
But you know what's funny, Trenna? I want to ask you another question too about that you were in the World Championships, right?
Yes, I was.
Well, so I announced the World Championships here in San Diego last summer. So
oh my God!
The men's championships were here this last summer in San Diego.
Yeah, we were there.
And you were there? Well, I was the announcer. So, you know,
He's my neighbor.
The bottom line is that I was voted the loudest voice in the 6th grade, and my mother was mortified. So I said, I need to do something with that voice, Mom.
Yeah,
it's just loud. So I ended
up superlative.
So, anyways, that was kind of
All
you
right,
to mention the voice.
Enough about you.
Oh, geez, I could talk all that.
That's amazing, though. I love
want to hear
that.
about
That's
Adam,
really cool.
Okay,
Stony Brook.
sorry, Adam.
Yeah,
Hopefully.
with your question too, I want to make sure I understand, Jimmy. Are you just asking about my experience at Stony Brook?
Well, because Trenna had such an interesting perspective and how she didn't quite find her groove, but she persevered and went through that. You know, you guys have really kind of similar paths in some regards, you know, not quite 100% sure. Like, it wasn't just cookie cutter, like, I'm going to go to Cornell and I'm going to be, you know, All-American and I'm going to be in the championship. And I mean, 99% of the people out there have similar stories to you guys, but no one ever talks about them. They only talk about the people that win national championships and
right.
Yeah.
So I guess it's important too, because like, and especially now that I know this is going to be edited, like I was bitter of going to Cuse because I was on track to be like, I mean, as a top 10 recruit.
Can I pause you for 1 sec? Do you,
yes.
Meaning edited, you don't want us this part in there?
Correct.
I have to make a mental note.
Oh yeah, correct. Like I was on track to be somebody in college, and I think that if I had chosen like a better relationship, like the reciprocity with me and Gary wasn't there. Like I didn't feel like he was like my champion and stuff, but with the assistant coach Reggie Thorpe, who I actually endorsed for getting that job, who I had known from the Native community because he had coached in Six Nations, and he knew, and I knew him in a way different kind of, just in a like completely away from, you know, this institutional style lacrosse. Like he was kind of cool, you know, he was cool with my dad. He was cool with, like, you know, other res guys. Like you could kind of hang, like there's a certain there's a certain banter in that kind of, in that space. And I was like, oh, you know, I kind of see Reggie, and he's, you know, a white guy and like went to Herkimer and like also is blue collar and kind of like, you know, just kind of gritty and kind of can bring that to, because Gary was so like a celebrity and kind of just very, you know, the guy like would get manicures and, you know, would be like just very put together and everything. And I'm like, dude, I need someone that's going to roll up here like on his lawnmower and be like,
yeah,
let's go, we're going, you know, we're going to practice.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like what
paint the lines.
Yeah, like what that brought in. And so with Reggie, I felt very taken care of. And he's a big reason I think why I stayed there and why I was like able to kind of stick it out, because he was a defensive coach. He didn't even coach me. I was an offensive player, but we had a really good relationship. And Brett Queener was also there for a few of my years. And I had a really good, like, there were other people that made it great, even though I wasn't really quite on the same page. I don't know, but yeah, that's out there about him.
Oh, that happens. That happens.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, and
that
like
happens.
Kinda, you know, he coaches like 5 people, and then the rest of the team is like, what do we do?
Yeah.
And so that was tough, but I think that was, I guess, you know, if we're telling stories, then
no, tell the stories. Now we get that. I mean, you're not the first person to mention that to us, and you know, it's funny you say that. I have a son who is a college football player, and he has run into these same situations, and has unfortunately had to be in the transfer portal twice, just because of some coaching that, you know what, promises and relationships and misrepresentations and all that kind of stuff. And you know, God bless him, he's become stronger for it, I will tell you.
Yeah,
and,
but it's hard. It's
brutal, especially for a young person. And it's brutal.
I mean, you got to deal with that in work. You're going to have to work for someone you might not like or be around you don't like. And
the relationship was just, it was so weird. And I was like, man, I could be like, which ironic, probably not ironic that it's my job now to be the recruiting director of our club, because I'm like, you got to be paying attention to like these things. And you know, the relationship matters a lot, and that's an important, you know, people want to go to sweatshirt schools, and I'm like, you better make sure that those type of people are going to be your friends, like and that you're in a good, you know, you're in a good situation, because that's going to be a long, you know, you got to endure that every day for 4 years, and you don't want to be unsure, you don't want to go there and be like uncertain like the whole time.
No, I hear you loud and clear. I know.
Sorry. All right, let's get on the lighter stuff. Come on, let's move
on. But thank you again. Very, very heartfelt, and I really appreciate it. Anyways, let's talk a little bit about coaching, you guys coaching and where you guys have been and everything. But first of all, how did you guys both get out to California? Just maybe quickly, you know, just what was the journey from the East Coast to California ultimately?
You want to start? Or you want me to
Mine was
start?
a breakup. I got broken up with.
Wow.
I was wrecked, and I was like, I gotta get out of Syracuse. Like I had gone to school there. I had stayed there, you know, worked there after my parents, you know, went home after college, like stayed there, did 2 master's programs. I was like, I gotta leave. I gotta get out of here. What really, you know, kicked me out of there was that breakup, and it rocked my world. And my brothers were out here. They had come out here before me, and they were like, oh, Trenna, like you got to get out here, like it's so sick, you know, Southern California, like duh, it's Los Angeles. And I was like, yeah, sold. Like, okay, I'm coming tomorrow.
Throw away my snow shovel. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, yeah, throw away the snow shovel. I was kind of untethered. You know, I moved out of that apartment that I had with that guy. It was awful. And then I was like, you know, just not tethered to my job. It was just a job you can quit. And I was like, okay, this is fine. And everyone was supportive. And then I came out here and was like, wow, totally, you know, like blown away by it. We live in Hermosa Beach, and yeah, we live in Hermosa, and I've never.
Oh my gosh, that's such a beautiful place.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah,
my God.
it was great. That's, you know.
Very cool. Adam, how about you?
Yeah, for me, a little happier of a story. I basically started working with String King
You mentioned that.
for
Yeah.
like 2 years on the East Coast, and then waited for them to have the money as a startup to invite me out to California full time. And it's kind of funny the way that relationship started was all because I came out to California very recently after graduating and visited one of my buddies, Ian Mills, out here. And we go out, we tear it up on the town. The next morning, he wakes me up and he's like, "We're playing in a scrimmage today." And I was like, "What? I don't have my stick. Like, how am I supposed to do that?" And he's just like, "Oh no, just like restring this one. It'll be good." And like most lacrosse players who string know that like the old mesh that was made out of nylon, once the pocket was made, it was made. You couldn't change it. But because String King used nylon, it basically shifted to however you altered it. And so I used that, long story short, and played with it. And I was like, yo, what is this stuff? Like, what company is this? I gotta like reach out to them. And basically that's how I got my start with String King. I helped them raise their brand profile because I still had friends that were playing at the Virginias, the Hopkins, the Syracuses of the world, and introduced the product to them. So yeah, moving out to work with String King.
Oh, very cool. And you moved to LA area, Orange County, LA, or
Hermosa Beach. Yep.
okay, where you still are today. That's cool.
Yes, sir. We're
Oh,
both
very
people.
cool. So from that, so now you guys are both out in California. Tell us a little bit about some of the coaching or youth coaching. And I know Trenna, you're now you're coaching high school now, right?
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about sort of, you know, the youth programs you guys have been involved in, and then maybe go into the high school. Either one.
We both started with Southbay Lacrosse Club, and that's a big how we met via Southbay.
Very cool.
Very lax couple of us.
Lax couple.
And,
I like that term, Jimmy.
I do.
Yeah.
Lax couple.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And so when I moved here, I had, you know, a very good friend of mine, Maddie Morrissey, who I played club lacrosse with growing up on the East Coast, and she had went to Duke and I had gone to Syracuse, and so we kind of like, you know, lost touch a little bit other than when we were playing against each other. But when I moved here, I was like, "Hey Maddie, like, do you know where Hermosa Beach is?" Like I couldn't even spell it. I was like, "Where?"
Yeah, right.
Like where is this? And she was like, "Oh my God, like, yes." And she was living, you know, in a rented room at that time in Manhattan Beach. And she was like, "Oh my God, you live, you know, right near me." And she was kind of already established. She had been here for about a year before me. And so she was kind of and she's always coached. Like that's always kind of been her gig. And so I definitely, benefited from being her friend from home. And I didn't have a car. She had a car. She was like, I'm going to 18 lacrosse practices. I'm like, great. I will be passenger princess and running the playlists. And we just kind of like, she gave me the tour of all, Santa Monica Dragons. And it was all so chaotic back then. It was so stardust. And yes, it was, and we met, Megan Toomey and she, and now we're all, she met, Maddie met her husband through Santa Monica Dragons and at a practice up there at Santa Monica High School. And so that, everyone, we all were just out here as 20 somethings and we all just got into this at the kind of the same time and kind of figured it out really along the way. But Ian Mills, gave me my first key to the goal and he gave me my first ball bucket that I still have in the garage. And he was like, here, man, like all these girls are asking for lessons. Like Southbay didn't have a girls like full on program yet, like, or a league to play in yet, but we were kind of doing like some camps and some clinics and some, just trying to get organized. And he's like, I need someone to do lessons. Like everyone's asking for private lessons. And I'm like, okay, like that's what I'll do. Like, I'll just go to the park and, in upstate, there's no such thing as private lessons. Like I never even heard of that. I was like, oh, like a piano teacher. Like that's like what this is. Like,
Right.
oh, okay. Like, okay. I can kind of just like do some one-on-one drills. And then that's kind of, it just like really grew from there. I mean, a lot of those kids that I started with are in high school now, or even off, playing lacrosse in college now. And I was with, a couple of different clubs. We did, you kind of do the tour a little bit of like, getting again with relationships and getting with different people and kind of finding your people along the way. And so and all the while, I mean, I was working in higher education. So, I worked in collegiate athletics for almost 10 years before, like I had a 9 to 5, I had like a real job and was, going to conferences and, I had an office and I was, going to like actual real job. And, but then I think after COVID, I kind of just was like, oh, I'm not going back there again. This lifestyle is too great. And I kind of didn't really, I was like, wow, like this is what you guys do as a full-time job and you guys can afford it. And like, you make this work like this. And
yeah, that's
I was
cool.
like, man, I don't know. I'm pretty like, financially insecure a little bit. I was like, that is like so foreign. Like, the entrepreneurship didn't come as natural to me,
Yeah.
And I was like, there's no safety net to catch me if this doesn't work out. And
with Title IX and all that stuff, women's, I mean, you came at the right time.
Yeah. Yes. I definitely came in at the right time. And I had all that knowledge from working in the workplace and working with really being collegiate athlete facing for, the whole time. Mm-hmm. And so like, I was, comfortable having those conversations. I was comfortable guiding people and, navigating through all of that people's stuff, to try to like keep them on track and keep them, headed in the right direction. I coached at UCLA for a season right before COVID. And then, I was just doing, you do everything. You do everything. And now me, Maddie, Megan, and Kate Ivory own LA Select together. And that's kind of it's like all girl, it's all female owned. It's all female operated. It's all for the girls. It's like, it's totally, that's kind of the vibe. But
with USC having a program, that's huge. I mean,
yes, it is. Yeah. Yes. And they were kind of like, they were brand new when I came out in 2016. And so they, I think, had only been around for 1 or 2 years, I think.
Yeah, sounds about right.
And so
San Diego State, same thing, right? Weren't they kind of that vintage as well? The women's team there?
I don't know the timing, but
what was the timing with San Diego State? Weren't they kind of?
San Diego was a little bit
ahead, maybe.
A little bit ahead, yeah, a little bit ahead, but not much. I mean, I don't think when I was coming through.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it is. It was awesome. It was.
People speaking as a parent, I mean, you can spend money all different ways on your kids. You can send them to day camp and you can send them to this. Let's face it, today in sports, if your kid has a dream to play in college, they have to supplement. They have to. I suppose if you are in an environment on the East Coast where you have these kind of establishments that the boys Latins and all the schools you guys went to, you wouldn't have to supplement. But I mean, Adam, will segue into you. I mean, we supplemented with Adam because he knew,
Yeah.
he knew exactly how to teach. He had a kind of a regimen,
Yes.
which was rare. You couldn't really find. There's a lot of people that just kind of like, all right, guys, we're gonna play sharks and minnows, and you're gonna run up and down the field, and that doesn't really teach hand placement and how to shoot overhand and all that stuff. So, I mean, it's something that you need because we just don't have enough people in established programs.
Totally. Yeah, totally. It is unique in that way out here.
Yeah, I agree.
That's how we met Adam. You know,
there's a lot of over gamification out here, in my opinion, where everyone just wants it to be fun and for too long. Like, don't get me wrong, it should be fun and gamified when kids are young, but like, you're in 7th, 8th grade now, you need to learn that hard work is fun. Like, you need to, at this point, learn to love the grind. And I think that's something that's lacking, which is our hope as East Coast personalities is that we're bringing that to the West Coast for sure. That's like a big theme of what we think about when we coach, which I think is super important.
Yep.
Yeah, no, couldn't agree with you more. So, speaking of high school, college youth, you guys have been around that. What do you obviously there's a physical difference, but what is the greatest difference between the youth kid, the high school kid, the college kid? Just in terms of coachability, what mindset, fun. You brought up the word fun. What did both of you guys think about the differences in those different sort of subsegments?
That's a great question.
That is a great question.
That's a really good question.
How much time do you have?
No.
Oh, that's low.
We got all night. Jimmy's going to get the burrito. Jimmy's going to get some burritos.
Trenna's like, I'm sweating. I got.
Yeah, I know. Oh my god,
Jimmy's getting the burritos, Trina.
I'm thinking. My first thought, just off the cuff, because I have a kid. Her name is Riley Padian, and you'll know her name. And she goes to PV High School, and she's about to be a freshman at Towson. And I've coached her entire life. I think I've been, like, me and Megan, I think have been her only coaches. And she started out, and she was, came from soccer, so was very fast. Good, side to side, but her hands were so stiff, like could not figure it out for like a full year, I would say. And yeah, cementy, like, and with the balancing peas on a knife, like, what it looks like.
Yeah.
But she was fast, and she was attached to the right things. She was attached to the right things. She loved the process. She was not anxious about being elite as fast as she could. Like, she just wanted to learn whatever we were teaching her as fast as she could. And she was just kind of like, her process was only like, it was so perfect. She was just only ever thinking of the next 10% and the next 10% after that, and the next 10% after that. And she just kind of kept going. She loved having the ball, but she couldn't always quite hang on to it. And she loved, we kind of tried to embrace the things that she already did naturally as an athlete, and just, and across any sport, she would love to be the ball carrier. She wants to be kind of the one. And so we just kept drilling her, and her parents their family is so amazing, and just, and also trusted the process, and they were not anxiously attached to the wrong things. It was not pressure packed. It was not, just with leveraging all these promises, looming ahead of you. It was very organic, and she became the best because, like, on time, and she, it was fantastic. She was never just, she was embraced every team that she was on, from, all across skill sets, across grades. She was just she came through. I mean, she didn't play rec necessarily because she had missed that, but she joined during COVID, like played the club lacrosse during COVID. So we were like doing weird things on the field, socially distanced,
Yeah.
and trying to function out there in a practice. And she, like she just was like, oh, like I think I'll just like try to maybe play in college. Like it was just always like, oh, let's just see if this kind of works out. But even so, like even with those goals, like her work ethic was not compromised. And it wasn't compromised for good things or bad things. It was just solid. And she just wanted to work hard, and she cared about all the things that we cared about. And now, I'm coaching her. Like I'm doing I did a lesson with her last night, preparing for Towson, and
Oh wow.
and she's just, the game is simple now. The game is very simple, and we're just kind of like repping it out. I'm hardly cueing her. It's teeny tiny little things. It's maybe drills that she hasn't done before, but like she's just she's so great.
Padawan.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
yeah, good. I know she's awesome, but I just think when I think of that, because I have like developed her the whole way, and she's coaching for us again, like she's coming back and coaching for youth, and it's just same with like Samari Chavez. Like she's someone who I've known since 5th grade, and like again attached to the right things, like just working, just attached to the right things. You're not making it too meaningful too soon, or too pressure packed like so soon, or but then like Adam was saying, like but then it does become serious. Like you can't be out here playing sharks and minnows when we're preparing for the East Coast.
Adam's definitely the one that's not playing sharks and minnows.
Yeah, no. Yeah, me.
Adam, you've had a few kids like that. Give us one of your stories. You have a few kids in college right now you've worked with. Adam is the one person that has worked with so many kids and made them behind the scenes without taking credit for it. So,
yeah, no, I appreciate that, Jimmy. I'm trying to think of one that like goes farther back.
Yeah, Yale, Harvard. Who else?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think when I think of someone, there's 3 kids I've met. And they're different ages, but 3 kids I've met that have, for lack of a better term, they just have like that fire and that desire to get better. And like, they're not dedicated, they're obsessed. And the people that I think of when I think of those people are Alex Powell, Tommy Bull, and Owen Gaffney. Those kids, it wasn't work for them. It was just fun. Like they learned and knew that working hard was fun at an extremely young age. And that's what made them such special players in their own right. And like the story with Owen, is what first comes to mind, just because we started out as competitors. I coached at Palos Verdes in 2019 and 2020. I was the offensive coordinator there, and absolutely loved my time there. Led us to a couple championship appearances. We were a top 3 highest scoring offense in the state. I owe a lot to both Jimmy Burrell and Lane Jaffe for really giving me the freedom and the reins to go ahead and control that side of the ball. But with that said, whenever we played other teams, obviously I paid attention to their defense, or to our defense going against their offense and seeing what they had. You mentioned JJ Silstrup to start. Like that's a guy I was watching and I was like, damn, that kid's sick. That kid's going to be a problem. And ironically, he got sick and didn't play against us in 2019. So we got lucky there.
Palos Verdes.
I remember that. I remember that game. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And it was, Owen and I were competitors. I remember going to a Loyola, I want to say Crespi game with Jimmy when we were scouting them to play them the next week. And I was just like turned to Jimmy and I was like, who the hell is number 13? And he was like, oh, that's Owen Gaffney. I was like, that's one of the best midfielders I've ever seen play in my life. And so Owen and I would just, say good game, shake hands afterwards. Obviously, me being an offensive coach and him being an offensive player, we knew of each other, but we didn't really know each other. And then that summer after his sophomore year, I coached factory lacrosse with Jimmy, and he asked me what age I wanted to run tryouts for, and I was like, high school, definitely. I want to meet these other high schoolers from other schools. I want to build relationships there. And like, honestly, a lot of the tryout was me just watching Owen play and like watching all the things this kid could do on the field because they were so impressive. And so I went up to him, I introduced myself, and he's like, yeah, I know who you are. And just kind of like didn't exactly give me like the time of day, but I just told him, I was like, hey, like if you're ever interested in doing like private lessons and working together, like I think I could really help you and it would be fun. And he didn't take me up on it for a really long time. Then COVID came, and I am living in Manhattan Beach at the time. There's a great pizza spot called Pit Fire down on Manhattan Beach Boulevard. And I walk down the boulevard from my house, and then who should I see but Owen grabbing pizza with his friends. And he hops over the wall. He comes up to me, gives me a big hug, and he's like, man, you got to help me out. He was like, during COVID, like I haven't been able to focus. I haven't been able to work on anything with my game. Like we got to start working together. And I was like, yeah, that sounds great. I'd love to. Like what took so long? And he was like, oh, I didn't want you to have too close a look at my game and tell your defense what to look at and how to defend me. So from that time on, him and I got after it, I think, like every single day of the week. It was very fortunate that his parents were, willing to invest in him, to be able to work with me constantly. When I think back to COVID times, I think of us secretly hopping the fence to go shoot at Costa. I think of us lugging rage cages all over Los Angeles, just trying to find a place to train. And I think of just the level of obsession that kid has with the game, and the fact that he didn't just want to be great at the game, he wanted to be the best. And he didn't just want to understand the game from a physical perspective, he wanted to understand the game from a mental perspective, which is so, so, so rare for an athlete in this day and age.
Yeah.
I remember to this day that I gave him a book. Well, first off, he's a high school kid. So I was like, if I give you a book, you going to read it? And he was like, yeah, I'll read it.
Maybe.
So I trusted him on that one. And I gave him Ryan Holiday's book called Ego is the Enemy, because he constantly talked about how he gets in his own head and his ego keeps him from having success. Read the book, devoured it, and was like, do you have any other books for me? And we started like a little book club after that.
Oh, nice.
So basically, like,
he's a Harvard guy.
Oh, he is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like not only did we become like student teacher, we became like mentor and student, and then we became friend and friend. And like to this day, I would count him as like one of my best friends in my life. I don't really train him as much anymore. I'll give him cues here and there when he asks me, but we go out and shoot on the weekends and just chop it up and have a good time. And it's just so cool to see a kid like that continually improve and to like not lose that passion and that obsession for the game. Like when I think of kids like him, it reminds me of myself when I was a kid, back in the days of VHS tapes. I started playing lacrosse in the year 2000. I recorded every single lacrosse game that was on TV from 2000 till graduating high school in 2007 and watched those things until they burned out. And that was my fun. That was my video games. So, I think coaching kids like that is super special. And then like, just to go back to that really difficult question that you asked at the beginning about the difference between youth, high school, and college, I think if you're speaking to the majority, I would say youth players are delusional High school players are dedicated. College players are obsessed. And I
Love
don't
it.
say
Oh, man.
delusional in a bad way necessarily, but what I mean by that is like those kids just have no idea what it takes to play on Memorial Day. They don't understand the work it takes. They don't understand the lonely hours. They don't understand the things they're going to have to miss out on and skip. They don't understand that they're going to have to take their stick with them on vacation. So I think I believe it was one of my buddies, Romar Dennis, said that it was almost kind of insulting when he hears some kids say that they want to play at Notre Dame or Duke, and they're a kid that he knows doesn't even practice or doesn't show up to practice. um, and like for high schoolers, they're dedicated, right? Like they're more in than they were as youth players. They want to get better. The majority of the time they want to be a better lacrosse player every time out, which for me as a coach, I always tell whatever team I'm playing and whatever kids I'm coaching, I don't need you to want to be the next best lacrosse player ever. I just need you to want to be a better lacrosse player every single time you get the chance to step out on that field. And I think a lot of high school players embody that. And then for college, it's just obsession. All those guys and all those girls are just obsessed with the game. They're all lax rats. They're all totally invested in what they're doing. They're all willing to make the sacrifices to be the best they possibly can be. And I think ultimately that's what makes them so special. And that's why the difference between good and great when you get to college is like 1% to 2%. Mm-hmm. And those people in college are looking to find that 1% to 2% edge to truly become elite.
Yeah.
Well said.
Yeah, well said.
That actually reminds me too of like, I think the difference without thinking of someone in particular is just like understanding the difference between being a lacrosse player and being an athlete, right? And the athlete will take care of themselves. The athlete will get better sleep. The athlete will train. The athlete will recover. The athlete will ice when they're supposed to. The athlete will take, pains seriously before it becomes an injury. The athlete will get good sleep. The athlete will prioritize all the things that, that go into being a holistic athlete, whereas a one-dimensional, lacrosse player or any sport, right, will just kind of only take it as far as it's required in that sport, but there is so much else. And if you can kind of work on becoming, you have to be an athlete about everything, right? Like how you do anything is how you do everything. And so if they can kind of build and generate a healthy athlete identity, that kind of is the foundation, and then you place your favorite sport on top of that, I think you'll be better longer. You'll be healthier in all kinds of capacity. You'll be happier. You'll have better relationships. You'll take care of your body longer. I mean, we were just talking about this like 2 days ago.
That's what I'm thinking about.
Yeah, 2 days ago, and it's like, oh, like I can't run this fast anymore. And I'm like, yeah, man, like, we're in our 30s. Like
we're in your 50s.
Yeah. Like, I'm like, God, it's already like, oh, and it's like, you just got to be an athlete about it. You got to find a new way. You got to find something.
Yeah.
You have to access that part of yourself. But like, it's always wants that thing.
It's like reinventing ourselves, I think is what it's really about at the end of the day. And like, something I would say too, to go along with what Trenna is saying about being a lacrosse player and being an athlete, is for the longest time in my life, I was a lacrosse player and not really an athlete. Mm-hmm. And so like a cautionary tale and like a word of advice to all parents is keep your kids playing as many sports as you can, as long as you can.
Mm-hmm. I was just going to ask you that question. Do you guys encourage other sports?
Yeah,
absolutely. And there's like, the way I look at it is there's a finite amount of athletic movements within a given sport. So you're really missing out on developing other muscles and developing other patterns by not playing other sports. And there's so many other sports that translate well to lacrosse specifically, mm-hmm. right? Like my favorite other sport athlete to coach is hockey players.
Yeah.
And it's not because of the toughness, and it's not because of the soft hands. It's because of the balance. They understand balance as an athlete better than any other sport, in my opinion. And that's one of the most overlooked pieces of athleticism, is how well you can balance your body and move in space.
Interesting.
They are. Hockey players are always phenomenal lacrosse players. Like that tough guy for what school is it? For Virginia, right? He was a hockey player, right? Or no, that's Syracuse or Virginia, one of the two. But he barely played.
I think it might be Syracuse. It might be that Mason Cone kid from Tufts.
And the guy, like, he's killing. He's like the best face-off in the league or something like that from hockey. Crazy.
Let me ask you a few quick questions here as well. Hardest position to coach?
Goalie.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what to say to them. I'm like, you got it. Step more, punch out. I just like recycle what I hear. I'm like, I don't actually know.
That's pretty funny. I would say that's probably been about 85% of the people.
For sure. That's the most specialized. I mean, it's the most important. It's the most important job in the whole field, and it's the most specialized. And I'm like, I don't know.
My initial thought is to agree with Trenna at goalie, and I do to an extent, but I'm going to take this a little bit of a different direction. I think the hardest position for me to coach at times is crease attack and off-ball play. I was going to say people look at being put on the crease as like a punishment all the time. And it's like, if you know how to get open and how to catch, it is the best and most fun position on the field. Because your teammates will create offense for you, and then your job is just to finish the ball. Yeah. It's really that simple. And I think like what a lot of people overlook is two things. Getting open is a skill. And then they also overlook, sorry, I'm losing it for a second. Getting open is a skill. Getting open is a skill, and the best finishers catch bad passes. Yeah. So if you want to be a good lacrosse player, learn to catch bad passes. Yeah. Because we're humans, right? We're all going to make mistakes. You're going to get bad passes constantly. So when you're out on the wall or you're throwing with your friends, throw yourself bad passes and learn how to catch them. I remember as a kid, like I credit having good hands to playing catch with my dad. My dad's not an athlete. He's never played lacrosse in his life, but I would make him feed me to shoot. And that's how I learned how to catch passes. And like, I got to the point where I felt like anything in this range, I had to catch. And like, that's what really makes a difference. And with the off ball play too, is like, there's one ball and we can't all be movers and shakers. Learn to get open, learn to catch.
Yep. Yeah. That's interesting.
I did that. My dad did that to me too, but on purpose. He would only send me. He would purposely only send me bad, terrible passes, and I would get so mad. But now I'm like, oh well.
It worked. It worked.
Yeah, it worked out.
Thanks, Dad. It worked. We've also, what the other one we've heard of is Fogo.
Yeah, for sure. I would have. Oh my God! All I could say to a Fogo is like, be faster than the other guy.
Yeah.
I have no idea. I
got to tell you, Trenna, I love the draw in women's lacrosse.
Yeah.
I think that is
the draw is fun.
Such a cool play.
It is. Honestly, I do. That was how I got in the field initially. Yeah. I was on that. I was part of that draw, not the draw taker, but circle play.
Yeah, very cool.
Adam Sear, who we had on the show, who coached at Notre Dame, he just recently stepped down.
Adam Sear,
Sear.
He was
on our show last week.
Oh, nice. We'll have to listen to that.
Yeah.
He said that the draw is way harder than people think it looks, and he was trying to give us kind of the technical side.
There is a reason for every single thing a part of that. It's like special teams, like on football. Exactly.
It
It is very nuanced.
Yeah, I love it. I think I wish
you're gonna make me watch more girls lacrosse.
Okay.
Yeah,
You should.
It's better.
You should.
It's fun to watch. I will admit.
Especially with the shot clock and everything.
Not fun to watch youth girls lacrosse.
No, just go a little.
I gotta say too, when it comes to face-offs in the men's game, this might be a semi-hot take, but as the way it is right now, I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of one guy being able to determine the entire outcome of the game. The only thing I don't want to get rid of it. I don't want to change any ways of doing it. All I suggest is that they move the wings halfway towards the X, so every face-off is a 3-on-3 ground.
Oh, that's a good idea.
That's cool. I like that.
That's actually a good idea.
Because I don't disagree with you. Who was it? It was Constable when Duke won the national championship. He completely won that face-off within 5 seconds of game over. National championship. Which is fine if you're a Duke fan, right? But it's like, okay,
he went to Duke.
Yeah, I went.
Oh, nice.
Anyways, I was happy, but I'm just saying the poor Notre Dame people were like, wait a minute, that 5 seconds, this thing's over. And we played so hard the whole game.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Your point, one guy determines in 5 seconds the outcome of the national championship. And it's like,
and it just like, it ruins really, really like potentially good lacrosse games. I remember in 2019, Penn State had that historic offense, like one of the best offenses we've ever seen in the sport. They competed. I think they might have even averaged more goals than like the Syracuse teams in the 90s. But then they got to championship weekend and they got blown out because some face-off guy just won it to himself the whole time. Like that, I don't want to watch that personally.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. All right, let's move on a little bit here. I'm going to ask you guys some kind of different questions now. They're kind of fun, but kind of different. In your coaching, and probably more on the youth or high school, what's the craziest thing a parent has ever emailed or said to you?
Oh, she's going to have some great answers for this.
And I don't want any names or anything. I just want something funny, something good story.
Oh God.
You want me to go first?
I'm the people that people are complaining about. So I
got to tell you though, just before you start, we actually had a guy say that a parent followed him into the parking lot, into his car, and was ready to beat his head in after a game. So there's a lot going on. We've heard it all. So whatever you guys
parents, I'm out on parents.
Go ahead.
I'm out. They are the oh my God.
So this isn't email related, but
whatever.
I remember I was coaching at Palos Verdes and I went to the bathroom at halftime, and we're obviously in the middle of the game. Like my mind is on the game and I'm using the urinal, and another one of the players' dads comes over and uses the urinal next to me. And he leans over and he goes, you know, if you put my son out there with him, you can do anything you want out there.
Oh,
and I was just like, I was just like, oh my God.
Oh my gosh.
I just had to be like, remember when we said that you like can't talk to us until like 48 hours after
that is by far the best one we've heard. Oh my God.
It was ridiculous, man.
Oh, that is unbelievable. We've heard about playtime. We've heard about parents wanting more playtime, but in the urinal?
But the bathroom stop.
God.
All right, let's move this along. You guys are hungry. I already.
Okay.
We're here. We're chilling.
All right. You guys, either of you have any superstitions as a coach or player?
I'm not superstitious. I unsubscribe. I was never like that.
Adam?
I feel like I teach that too. I'm like, don't let anything become more powerful than you. Like, don't give it away like that. Like, you are your own. You have to be whatever you need as a pep talk. Like, you got to be that for yourself.
I love it. Adam, Adam, do you have anything?
Don't give that away.
So I would say my superstitions are things that are completely within my control. So I don't have to worry about, like she said, like something throwing me off. But I would always drink orange Powerade for games, which is probably seems like a hot take for a lot of people. I will die on the hill that Powerade is better than Gatorade. Their marketing just isn't as good. And the other thing is, I would listen to "I Just Can't Wait to Be King" from The Lion King. And that's because
my heart is singing.
That's because I had to be like calm to be able to play my best. Like you, Jimmy, you know me. Obviously, you know, like I'm very laid back. And like I had to listen to music like that in order to be at my best. So those aren't exactly superstitions,
but those are. I mean,
rituals.
Rituals.
Yeah, rituals. I like rituals. Yeah.
You're not going to believe this, but we had one coach say that he wore the same clothes for every game until they lost. And I don't believe he washed them in between.
Wow.
And it was 17 in a row. So,
Yes.
Oh, wow.
We've heard a few things.
Oh, no. I love, you know, when you're coaching, the sideline is like, you know, my catwalk. I'm like very into the coach's fashion. So there's no way. I have to wear something different. Like, you know, every time I have different sneakers and different hats. I love the gear. Yeah. I love the swag, but I feel like for rituals though, yeah, I would use like, at least when I played, I would feel like I would always get like a peanut butter and jelly bagel from Bruisers. And then I would always listen to the song "Buy You a Drink" by T-Pain. It's like, it's very mellow because I'm very high and big energy, and that song just kind of like it's so I don't know.
In the groove, yeah.
That's cool.
How about sorry, go ahead.
Yes, sorry. The only other thing I just thought of that's a little weird is I would only use my game stick on game days.
Oh,
there you go.
That's weird.
Yeah, the theory being if I was using my backup during the week, I was breaking it in. Because the game stick was already broken in, right? So if I had to go to my backup, I had experience with it and it was already ready to go. And then I didn't have to worry about breaking my gamer in practice. So that's a little weird too.
Oh, there you go. That's another good one.
There's no kid out there that does that.
Oh, no one. If you can find a kid out here who has two of the same sticks, I will give you $100.
Well, Tommy does only because you. And because
that's true.
Protege.
Yes.
How about either of you? Any nicknames in college, coaches, whatever nicknames?
Yeah, for me,
what's that?
For me, it would be AD9, or to my teammates at Essex, Nasty 9.
Nice. That's a good one.
Trenna, how about you?
I had a lot. My name is, you know, unique, but you guys emailed me. My nickname is Trensky. That's kind of what everyone calls me, or just Ski. For a long time, it was just the end, just Ski. And
is it because you ski? Do you actually ski?
Ski, yeah. A lot of people say like, but it's like a ski. It's like a, you know, your voice.
It's not because you're into going to the mountains. It's because
I get that question a lot though, because I don't ski. I don't do any winter sports, but people called me Ski for a long time. People called me T anything. T dog, Trend dog, Trenny, I don't know. T-Pain.
Ski's a good one.
I like Ski.
Yeah, 2-3. That was my T-Baby for a while. Some people call me T-Baby. I was the youngest on my teams. I was always getting moved up, so I was baby. And
that's cool.
T-Baby. 2-3. A lot of people that actually ended.
T-Baby's a good one.
T-Baby's good.
I think only Adam could call you that.
Like G-Baby, like from that movie with Keanu Reeves in it, Hardball.
Oh yeah.
G-Baby, he was the baby, and I was T-Baby. That was more in high school though. But Trensky, I don't know. That one was really the one that stuck the most.
That's a good one. I like that.
My brother's girlfriend, like when he, you know, a million years ago, she was my World Cup teammate, and it was so cool that I was like her, you know, I was friends with my brother's girlfriend, who is so much older than me. And I was like, felt so cool that she liked me, and we were teammates. And so, you know, she kind of gave me that name, and then it really stuck after that.
Right on.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. That's very cool.
My
nickname has always been T-Bone, because
T-Bone.
T-Bone.
Level. I call him
don't know.
La Voice. La Voice.
Yeah, there you
Jimmy, what do you get? JB?
JB, yeah, JB,
Yeah.
or that's what Dean McGowan calls me. Hey, JB, he's a Long Island guy. So
Okay.
JB, okay.
What are you doing, JB? We going surfing?
Okay, now I know what to call you.
Yeah.
All right. All right, guys. Favorite food, go to. What is it? Favorite food? Trenna.
Sushi.
Adam.
My favorite food is burritos, any type, and I choose that because of their versatility.
Very well. Okay, favorite restaurant then for both of you guys.
Fusion Sushi in Manhattan Beach.
Nice.
I haven't been there. It's good.
We're
Yeah.
gonna have to go. We'll
Fusion
come up.
sushi,
We'll go.
Okay.
Gotta have it.
Adam, you gotta go.
They started to know me when I called in there.
Oh, it's Trenna again. You're getting
There goes Trensky.
Yeah, they're like, oh, is this
special?
Yeah,
Trensky's
they
getting
knew the order.
California
They
roll.
knew,
Jimmy.
yeah. When I called, they knew.
Ski roll. Get in the ski roll.
Get a ski roll, man.
Yeah, see, I should have a roll named after me.
Have a roll named after you.
Wow.
I'm telling you, we're in.
I'm gonna promote that.
We'll come down.
We'll come down for the opening.
Unveiling.
Yes.
If you were to ask Trenna my favorite restaurant, she would probably say Uber Eats.
Oh my gosh.
But my favorite restaurant is North Italia. It is a chain,
I've heard of it,
restaurant, but it is like phenomenal.
I've heard of it for sure.
It's really good.
Yeah. They have one down here, North Italia.
Yeah, check it out. Get the chicken parm.
Oh, it's awesome. The food is very good. I know what you're talking about. All right, a couple more. Favorite movie? Either of you.
Wow, that's really hard.
That is tough.
Favorite movie?
Yeah.
What have you watched?
Yours is obvious. His favorite movie is Top Gun Maverick.
Oh, love it, man.
That's a favorite.
You know what was good about that movie? You didn't even have to see the first one to love it.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
And so often sequels are so bad.
Yeah.
It was great. Man.
Yeah, no, for me, it's Top Gun Maverick. Currently, I like regularly, it's a running joke when she comes home from practice late at night. She's like, "Are you seriously watching this again right now?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's so damn good."
Nice, I love it.
Yeah, I love that movie so much.
Trenna, what's yours?
Some rom-com.
Rom-com?
Yeah.
I don't like rom-coms.
You?
Man.
Stop showing off.
I'm like trying to look at the bookshelf for like if there's anything over there. I guess something I don't know. This question I would have to get back to you on. But something I can always watch is like a good old any of the Harry Potters. I am a millennial.
They're epic.
Oh, they're epic.
I can just if that's on, I'm watching it. I'm stopping.
I'm with you on that one.
Yeah, if it's on, then I'm in.
Maybe Harry Potter 6 is your favorite movie?
I do love Harry Potter 6, but I don't know about favorite movie of like,
Yeah.
That's a big category.
It is a big category.
Yeah. Too many flavors out there.
There's a lot of flavors. We know.
That's a hard
kind of helps to get us to know you a little bit better, but I'm thinking Harry Potter. That's a good one.
I always have it in my Netflix catalog. For
Harry Potter's a very good one.
Yep.
Yeah, I think my all-time favorite movie, though, I do have an answer for that one, is Slumdog Millionaire. I absolutely love that movie.
I gotta watch that.
That's a great movie.
Yeah, that's
a great movie. No, I'm with you on that. That is a good one. But there are so many, we know. And
The Parent Trap, though, also goes so hard. It ages so well.
It
came out. You finally found one.
See, you found it. You found
Parent Trap is so good. God, I don't know. That just popped into my head. Parent Trap, phenomenal film.
Okay, Plate of Sushi and Parent Trap, the perfect night.
Yes.
Yeah, there we go. Now I got a date night idea.
Yeah, there you go.
Now I got one up my sleeve.
Adam, glad to help you out, my friend. We're
Thanks,
glad to help you out. All right, well, one more. Favorite celebrity, living or dead?
And it doesn't have to be like a movie star.
Doesn't have to be a movie star. It could be historical, whatever. Who would be a celebrity? Maybe who you'd like to meet if you haven't met or whatever. And I've heard Abraham Lincoln, so we've heard some interesting ones.
God, snooze, Abraham Lincoln. Um,
Trust me, felt the same way, but didn't say it to him.
I mean, the first one, like, I mean, like now I feel like this is an athletic conversation, so I feel like I'm only thinking athletes, but like I wear number 23 because of Michael Jordan. Like he is all time.
Yep.
If I could, he was at my college graduation because Jasmine Jordan went to Syracuse.
Oh, wow, that's
very
cool.
cool.
So he was there and he saw me graduate.
Very cool.
But also like Muhammad Ali was also someone like very close to my heart, and my uncle spoke at his funeral, and
wow, very cool.
Yeah.
What's the connection there?
Well, I mean his activism and everything, and he was very for Indigenous rights. He marched with Indigenous people in New York City and for different rallies. And my uncle Sid Hill is the Taradaho of the Iroquois Confederacy and just an Onondaga Nation, and so he was invited to speak at his
that
service.
Is so cool.
But
so,
he
missed that one.
I don't know. That's awesome.
Muhammad Ali, but MJ though, God, and he's alive, and
that's a good one. That's a good one. That's legit for sure.
And he likes to have a good time.
Yeah,
he's a golfer, and he'd be fun to hang out with.
It's a good shot at baseball.
Yeah, I think
that's a good one.
Adam, how about you?
I'm gonna go with an athlete. I'm gonna go with Russell Westbrook. Ooh. And the reason he's my favorite is because I've never seen somebody go so hard at all times and have such a short-term memory. Like it just blows, like it could be ugly. It could be an absolute disaster sometimes, but it doesn't matter. He's going to give his all every single time he gets the opportunity to play basketball. And I just think that's super unique. I've like never really seen anyone be able to like get into his head or anything. He just plays the game so hard, and I really respect that and think it would be really cool to meet him as well.
Lawndale High School, right down the road from you guys.
Wow. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yes.
That guy, I'd probably put him top 2 freakish athletes. That guy's
Yeah. We watched his documentary.
He can jump out of the building. I love that guy.
Yeah. I feel like for time, I don't know. MJ Muhammad Ali are my go-tos, but like right now, today in 2024, like I'd love to hang out with Caitlin Clark.
Yeah.
Like I would totally love to like just like hang out with that girl.
Yeah.
I mean, she is
super cool.
She's awesome, and like I don't know. I mean, I'm a Swiftie. I would love to hang out with Taylor Swift. She seems
nice.
Yeah. That'd be a fun party. She's got a lot of connections.
Yeah, she got a few connections.
Yeah. She's a little well known.
Yeah, just a couple connections.
She got a private jet.
Yeah. Well,
she does.
No surprise there.
Flipping the script. I got a question for you guys.
All right, shoot it out.
Who is your lacrosse GOAT and why?
Goat.
Wow.
You want to go? You go first.
No, you know what? I mean, historically, you got to look at Jim Brown and just say what an amazing athlete that guy was.
Mm-hmm.
To be able to be a dual sport guy as well, and but I mean that's super historical. More modern day. I mean, whether you like Paul Rabel or not, I mean, he's done a lot of pretty amazing things, just from a, I guess even non-lacrosse perspective, but used his voice from lacrosse to do a lot of things. That's a tough question, and I appreciate you asking that. But but then I look at some of the pioneers, the 75-year-old guys here in San Diego that started youth lacrosse 30 years ago, that decided that they were going to give it all up and own a little, 12 by 10 lacrosse retail store, when nobody knew about lacrosse. Yeah. And they decided this was going to be the future. And, we've met a lot of those guys here too. And I'm sure you guys have over the years, and those are the kind of guys who are like, man, the pioneers. I mean, in terms of truly growing the sport, maybe not physically playing or a goat playing, but a goat in terms of being an ambassador for the sport,
for sure,
and helping to grow the sport for all of us. So that's sort of a long answer to a really great question, but that there's a lot out there that I could look to, just depending on what they did to contribute.
No, I love that answer.
Me too.
I think it's easy. Pat Spencer.
Oh,
wow.
Okay.
I mean,
like
dude, the guy's playing for the Golden State Warriors, like playing in a 5-man team. There's only 5. Oh, I'm leading. There's only 5 guys on a basketball team, right?
Yeah.
And a small bench. You know, he's going from this huge 40 to 50 man roster bench, and then making a professional team and winning the Tewaaraton. I mean, not. Is there anybody else that's done that? I mean, there's a couple football players, but they play
right.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah,
that's a good.
I do put Lyle up there. You know, just hit some of the things he's done against large people. You know, he's kind of a wiry frame guy. He's not like a big broody guy like Hoka or those guys that are similar in style. But Pat Spencer is just what he's crossed over, and I think has opened a lot of things for lacrosse. So.
Yeah, the lacrosse world misses him.
Yeah, I know that is. I guess I forget about him because he's not. He's not in the sport anymore.
Yeah.
But he's in the NBA, so you know we'll give him that.
Dude, playing in the NBA is freaking hard.
Yeah. Yes.
That is hard. There's if you think about the club basketball scene,
the
amount of people grinding to get to that top position.
Didn't his little brother just win the national championship at UConn as well?
Yeah.
You guys are talk about athletes.
That's crazy. I know, that's awesome.
But
he got picked up or drafted too.
No,
that's his brother.
Yeah.
Oh, he did. Oh,
in the recent NBA draft.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Let's check that out.
You have to check that out for sure. Yeah.
This has just popped into my brain. This is like not related to anything, but this is a funny story because we're talking about professional athletes, and you just said that or a little bit ago that his favorite restaurant was North Italia. You guys, when I first moved here, there's like celebrities like all over the place, right? Like they're just around.
Especially where you guys live.
They're just like
hockey team lives there.
And you guys know like Miles Jones, right? Went to Duke, and Maddie went to Duke, and so she kind of like knew who he was. And then Kyrie Irving also went to Duke,
right?
And had known who Maddie was, at least like kind of knew her, like knew her by face, knew her by name. And we were all out at the Santa Monica Pier concerts one night, and I had just come from dinner with like this lacrosse parent who like took us all out to dinner, and I had this really cute white tank top on that I went to an Italian restaurant with.
Oh boy.
And I got this awful, like embarrassing sauce stain, like right
in the
middle of my shirt. And we're out there, and we go up to Santa Monica, or we're in Venice or something, and like somehow all lacrosse people find each other, right? Like no matter what, if you're in a bar, if you're in a room, if you're, out there in a field, you find other lacrosse people. And so somehow me, my brother, and our friend Oris from home get invited to this party at Kyrie Irving's house.
What?
Oh my God.
And like with like Miles is kind of like the one kind of leading them, and he's going to bring us all. And I'm like, I cannot go. I can't go to Kyrie Irving's house with this freaking
red sauce stain.
Like, I'm sure. Like, what is going on?
Santa Monica, just go buy a new shirt.
That's what I'm thinking in my head now. I've never thought that before, but I'm like, wow, why didn't she just buy a shirt or put on a sweatshirt?
I don't know. It's like 11 p.m. We're at the Venice Whaler. We're like,
Did you go?
Like, get in right now. We're going to Kyrie Irving's house right now. And I was like, and I didn't go.
Oh, Trenna.
They had like a great time, and like Trey Songz was there, and like all these other like.
Oh my God.
And it was like one of my biggest regrets of living here that I didn't
meet him
go
again
because of the freaking North Italia freaking.
I brought it up.
You'll meet him.
Salt in the wound.
I'm sure, and I haven't thought of that in so long.
Yeah. You'll meet him again. You'll meet him again.
I'll be like, hey, this other time I was supposed to be at your house, but.
It probably worked out in my benefit.
Yeah.
Probably wouldn't have this one sitting next to me.
You're much more handsome
Yeah,
than Kyrie.
Yeah, exactly.
Adam, for sure.
Oh, exactly. No, it worked out the way it was supposed to. But maybe you'll get, maybe you'll go have Italian food with Taylor Swift. Who knows?
Yeah. And MJ.
And MJ.
They'll be seated at the same table for sure.
Yeah. And,
Oh, yeah.
Taylor Swift will drop a meatball on her plate and it'll splatter her. And, you'll bring up the old story.
You know what's funny, though? You should mention that. So they, right here at the Hyatt, that has like a really nice golf course. Marcus Allen had a celebrity golf tournament, right? My mom's like, I think I saw, what's Taylor Swift's boyfriend's name?
Oh my God, Travis Kelce.
Travis Kelce. My mom's like, you that guy on the Chiefs? I'm like, yeah. She's like, he was in the lobby. I'm like, why would he be in the lobby? She's like, well, Marcus Allen's having a celebrity.
Oh my God.
So I don't know if that's the case, but you never know where you're gonna meet somebody.
Yeah.
There's people, they're out. They're everywhere.
And in your world, and the fact that you guys live in Redondo Beach and you coach in Santa Monica, I guarantee.
Yeah.
That's a cool story, though.
That's a very cool story.
Yeah.
Oh, Kyrie. Oh, that'd be fun.
Hopefully he'll see this. Maybe he'll see this and he'll be like, oh.
Oh, wait. We need to invite her over to the house.
You're gonna coach his daughter someday.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll coach his kid. That'd be cool.
Think about Mariano. Who's the guy, the famous closer for the Yankees? Is it
Mariano Rivera?
Yeah,
Rivera?
his son plays at Lemoyne.
Oh, really?
Lemoyne College in Syracuse?
Lemoyne, yeah, and they went Division I this year.
Yes, they did.
Yeah, his son plays at Lemoyne, and they played Sacred Heart, and he was in the stands, and they interviewed him. I'm like, what the hell is he doing here?
Oh my God, I did not know that at all.
I'm telling you that the world of lacrosse, in terms of professional crossover, I wouldn't be surprised if you coach Kyrie's daughter one day.
It's a good place to be.
Yeah, very true.
A really good place to be. Definitely in your area where you guys are is fantastic.
Keep it going. Keep it going.
Yeah. All right. Well, anything else you guys want to ask us or say to our fans, or any other words of wisdom you guys can impart on us? And I know we've picked your brain here for quite a while, but man, this has been a blast.
It has.
I don't know. I would just say more of the same. Like, just stay attached to the right things. It's so important to just stay attached to the right things.
Yeah.
It's hard.
I think I would just say go with the coach who treats you like family and trust your gut, because I think those two things will lead you on the right path.
Nice.
I think the other cliche thing you can say that I used to laugh at when I was a kid, but is so true after being through it, is the broken leg question, right? If you broke your leg and could never play again, would you still go to that school? And for me, I know I wouldn't have gone to Stony Brook if I broke my leg, but I certainly would have gone to Salisbury University if I broke my leg. Mm-hmm. And that simple question right there tells me all I need to know.
That's fantastic. That's a great thought. Now that's perfect for our listeners, man. Because we get a lot. I think we get a lot of parents with some young kids that watch the show as well and are trying to, again, find the path, the journey for their kids to get to whatever level that might be, whether it's high school and that ends there or it becomes collegiate or whatever. But again, it's all about the journey. And so many people we've talked to have had so many great words of wisdom, and yours were fantastic there, Adam. I really respect that. So thank you
so much.
But gosh, man,
speaking of words of wisdom, send us off, Tom.
Well, you know what? I mean, I want to keep going, Jimmy.
I know.
If you have more questions, I mean,
no.
He knows me.
We're at 2 hours.
He knows me. I love to talk, and that's why I'm an announcer. But I love to talk, and it's just incredible meeting people like you guys, which has been just a pure honor for me and a great joy for me to meet you guys and be able to spend some time with you. And hopefully we can do it again. And
totally,
please, we would love to. This was great.
We'll come up and have some dinner with you guys in LA.
North Italia.
No,
we're gonna go have
nobody wear white.
We're gonna have the Wednesday Trenski roll.
The Trenski.
We're
gonna have the Trenski roll. And then we'll have a Trenski roll, a burrito, and a big meatball.
Yeah.
And red t-shirts. 2 shirts.
So saucy.
Now we're talking.
Extra sauce.
With extra sauce. We'll bring 2 shirts. Remember that.
Gotta bring 2 shirts.
2 shirts.
Because you never know if we're going to meet Kyrie or something.
Right. That's right.
Anyways, guys, thanks so much.
Yes.
Thank you guys. Awesome.
This has been an honor for us, and this is going to be a phenomenal show when we get it all edited down, and you guys will be able to see it. But check out the one about Adam Sear. It was
sure we will.
He's such a great guy, and we just really had a great time with him, and it'll be fun for you guys to see that, especially.
He's awesome. He's a GOAT in our sport. He's on the list. Of GOATs. He's so great.
What an amazing guy.
Yeah.
I mean, oh my gosh, we had such a blast talking to him and getting him. So same with you guys, such a blast. So thank you.
This was amazing. This was so awesome. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Do you, where can we listen to the episode? Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube?
It's everywhere. It's on all
those forms and YouTube as well. So
and Tom is you guys gonna all on three. Keep it between the pipes. Come on, send them off. We're gonna.
Well, I always say a phrase at the very end of the show. Just it's kind of it's a little geeky, to be quite frankly with you, if you really think about it. But I always say, talk about the fact that we're just a couple of guys in the garage, and as always, remember to keep it within the pipes.